Sit down and shut up. The show is starting.
Hello, everyone. How are you? And this is not my channel. I don't know why I said hi first. Kelly, please introduce yourself.
I mean, no, you can totally say hi first. That's absolutely fine. Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Kelly, also known as the Opera Geek. My mom actually named me Kelly. It's not, never mind, it's a long story. So thank you all for being here. And I really would actually like everybody to introduce themselves. And we're going to start with Tanya, actually.
Sorry, I got distracted by what Omega just did. I see you,
What
sir.
did you
What
just
did you do?
What happened?
Nothing.
And wow,
might
look
just-
at
we-
everybody
oh my gosh!
showing up.
Oh my
we
gosh.
might just want to have alerts off, that's all.
Alerts are off.
Good.
Hi, I am your apparently stunned Cypher. I'm Tanya, known as Cypher everywhere online. I am very, very glad to be here with so many friends, and really glad that Kelly asked me to join. You can find me here on Twitch, Cypher Tier. I talk a lot on the internet. I do a lot of RPG stuff on Rivals Waterdeep, Into the Motherlands, and starting Thursday, along with Kelly, Cyberpunk Red over on Sirenscape's channel. So I do a lot of RPG things. I also yell a lot on the internet about equality and such. So say hi. Who's next?
Brian, because I'm looking and he's next.
And hi, everybody. I am Brian. I'm Urban Bohemian, variety streamer, a few days a week on Twitch. Yep, nope, just lost it. I had it, and now it's gone. Really happy to be here and chatting with these lovely folks about this today. And hopefully we're going to, we'll not fix anything, but hopefully we're going to talk about some really great stuff. Let's see. Oh, you can see me. Sorry, I forgot about the things that I do. I'm really sorry. But also really excited to be on Rivals of Waterdeep starting January 31st. That's in 2 weeks. I'm super nervous, but I'm ready. So yay.
Oh my goodness, you'll be fine. You'll be totally fine. Next up is Omega.
I got distracted for a second. Welcome to my world. And I also realized I didn't actually introduce myself about anything, so I'll do that at the end. So yes, Omega.
That's valid. Hey friends, my name is Omega, also known as the Critical Bard. Critical Bard across all social media channels. I'm an actor. I'm a vocalist, partnered a variety caster on Twitch. Hot Mess Incarnate, #iconic. What else? Yeah, I just do lots of things. I sing, I dance, I be merry. Nothing I really want to boost. I'll boost things later, right? But for now, just happy to be here to talk about some very important conversations.
And Dr. Rachel.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rachel Cowart. I'm the research director of Take This, which is the first mental health nonprofit to form serving the gaming industry and the gaming community. I'm also a science content creator, Zeitgeist, where I post a new video every week on YouTube talking about the science of games.
Yes.
And I guess that leaves it to me. Hi, everybody. I am Rafael Bocamazzo, otherwise known as Dr. B, because I have a very long Italian name that nobody wants to mess with. So I am the clinical director. I'm a doctor of psychology and the clinical director of Take This, where I work with Dr. Rachel. And I am the moderator for this panel. But before we take off with the moderation, we got to give Kelly the opportunity to really introduce herself on her own channel.
Yeah, so again, I'm Kelly. If you hadn't already guessed, have ADHD and do get distracted quite easily by shiny objects and or anything. I am a professional opera singer. I continue to be that, even though there are no operas being staged right now. I am also a content creator, and I play on multiple tabletop streams as well as streaming here on my own channel, different variety of video games. And now I'm going to hand it back to Dr. B to start the panel.
Well, awesome. So everybody, we are here today. I'm starting this off like a wedding. We are here today.
I mean, let's
I already
be real.
did that though.
No, okay, no, we're not going to.
No.
Oh, wow, Brian. Wow.
We hear the term parasocial relationships thrown around a lot more, especially within the content creator community, within game devs and so forth. But for this, I really want to ask Dr. Rachel, so we can get on the same page in a nutshell, what are parasocial relationships and what causes them?
They are one-sided relationships between a performer and a viewer. So it's a term that came out in the 1950s to explain the relationships we have with the people we see on television, but it's ever more relevant now to streamers. And why do we have them? They are based and they become more strong over repeated exposure, and streaming is very popular. So as we become repeatedly exposed, yes, to our favorite streamers like we have here, we develop one-sided relationships. So it's one-sided because you feel like you have a relationship and an emotional connection with the streamer and that you know them in the same way I feel like I know Jimmy Fallon, for instance, but they don't know who you are. I love Jimmy Fallon.
Well, yeah. So for everybody else here, because you all put your faces out there into the world. You all stream. You all, many of you write. Many of you perform on stages, on film. How do each of you experience these one-sided relationships in the work you do?
Ooh. Cautiously on my end. Well, because, for a long time, I was actually talking to my partner about this panel before we did this. And, it's one of those things where this was something that always happened. We just didn't have this word for it, I think. Like the people who would show up at Star's house or follow them or think they were married to them, things like that. Mm-hmm. It has unfortunately made me a lot more standoffish, which I don't like. Not that I'm a super cuddly, touchy-feely person, but the wall has gotten thicker over the years, which is unfortunate.
Well, would you feel comfortable getting into some of those experiences in general terms, why that wall has grown thicker? Because there's a lot of good reasons.
Yeah. So, one example that came up, because CB and I have the same example, but I won't steal his. But Brian, who's also one of my moderators, shortly after I got partnered, we had someone that really wanted my home address under the guise of I want to send you a gift. I really appreciate what you do, and I'm super excited for you. And then when I was like, no, I don't even actually know your real name, they got really weird about it, and it was like a light switch had flipped. And then it turned into, well, I don't know why I support you. And it's like, that access does not buy you my home address. It does not buy you that kind of access to me because, it's going to sound terrible, but this is transactional. We provide whatever entertainment we provide. We sing, we play games, we do RPGs, whatever. And if someone likes what we do enough, they choose to support us monetarily. And that's cool and we're appreciative. But you need to understand that just because you give me $5 a month or even $25 a month on Twitch, that doesn't mean you get to know my home address, always jump in games when I'm streaming, etc. So that was kind of the first thing where I'm like, okay, cool, you're a Twitch subscriber, but that $5 doesn't get you that much. There are people I've known for years that don't even have my home address. So let's add another layer of bricks to this wall. And made me go out and get a P.O. box. And if people really want to send me something that bad that don't know me, here you go.
And I see Omega just nodding his head, just
emphatically
agreeing with this.
I feel like Tanya said it perfectly. I mean, we can talk about many things, but I just want to harp on that one for a second. I guess just a way I've experienced it. If a person's streaming a game or whatever, and that game possibly is multiplayer or whatever, a small way you are going past that boundary, you are showing what a parasocial relationship is by you automatically believing just because you subscribed or you're followed that you are now you have every reason to now ask me to be a part of this game that you're doing on your stream. And it's like, unfortunately, as a partner streamer, as a Black streamer, as a queer streamer, I have to be very specific about who I allow on my channel, who's speaking on my channel at any given time. Because if you say some headassery, my apologies, if you say some stuff that could make my brand and my channel look bad, then I'm gonna be looking like, one, I'm gonna be feeling silly for even allowing you to be there. But then I'm like, why did I allow you to poison my community? And I'm not saying you're going to, but that just means I have to vet who I trust and who I know will make sure they're doing what they need to do so my brand, quote unquote, looks good as well, or remains untainted, if you will. But there are so many people who, there are so many people who will get almost annoyed that I say no, that they can't join the game I'm playing. And it's like, again, you do not, just because you've subscribed, you've paid $4.99 or got gifted that sub, it does not give you a one-way ticket towards my Fs. You don't get to automatically be a part of this just because you've bought your way in. That requires trust. That requires a true thing called friendship. That it's more than, you know, just being here and like, oh, okay, well, I'm here now, so I guess we're close now, right? No. So yeah, that the gaming thing. Almost every time I stream a multiplayer game, someone I've never met asks, "Can they play?" And I'm like, "You can." That's that.
So I mean, I've obviously experienced some of it streaming, including people who have, upon finding out, some members of my chat or my real life friends, asking them where I live, how they can find me. Thankfully, my friends are not dumb. But also, I know Omega and I experience this in a certain way as well in performing, live performance, especially when you have patrons who believe that the price of a ticket means, for instance, that they're allowed to touch you and grab you to make you take a photo with them, or that it entitles them to corner you, basically, and talk to you, or try to find out your schedule, follow you from the stage door. You know, there's a lot of lines and boundaries, and being as the fact that my brain doesn't work like a lot of normal people's brains, I can see how some things might need to have a gentle, that's not okay, because people might not understand it. But once you hear that's not okay, you have to stop, because our safety and the safety of any performer comes first. Also, never grab anybody for a photo, please.
Period. Good rule for life.
Yeah,
Don't grab people for
Especially
photos.
if they're in like a 40-pound costume, because I'm just going to fall over. I'm not even joking.
Yeah. It's happened, my experience, it's happened less for me, though not that much less with streaming, and more just for me because I came to this with from blogging and food blogging and social media. The main thing, and a lot of food bloggers talked about this, the main problem with what we do is it's often in real time very easy to find out where we are and kind of see us. And so for me, it was people who were pushing that boundary, and it seemed, you know, I'm sure in their mind it seemed like the most harmless thing to do, but like they would ask me if like they could sit down and eat with me, or if I wanted to join them for food or a drink, and I'm like, no, because I don't know you. And there have been a few incidents where exactly like all of a sudden it was a snap, like now, you know, I kind of liked what you do, and now you're just being a butt, and I'm gonna like trash you. And I once sat through brunch while somebody was on social media basically saying what a horrible person I was because I wouldn't join them. And you know, I'm even the staff is like, do we need to have them leave? And I'm like, this is awkward. This is awkward. So it's really just understanding and trying to figure out where those boundaries are, and realizing like, you know someone, but you don't know them.
Well, and this may be something, well, this is definitely something that all of you can comment on from different perspectives, but that person, you know, quote unquote, on screen is a projection. It is a one-sided projection of a more complete person that is kept off screen. I mean, it even happens in little ways. Like we've all talked about this. I don't care privately if you all call me by the name my mom calls me, because I know you all. But if you start doing that on stream, randos start calling me that, and it is deeply uncomfortable. They're calling me something so familiar and so intimate when they don't know me. So I wonder, well, how do you educate people on that line between your identity as a content creator, as a performer, versus your identity in your private life?
I'm going to hop in real quick. And I think first and foremost, it all depends on the person, but it depends on what it all, not to hearken to this, but it's like, it comes to pronouns. If I say I'm he, him, then I'm he, him. If I say I'm she, her, I'm she, her. If I say I'm she, they, then I'm she, they. If I personally say I say I'm Omega Jones, also known as Critical Bard, I am giving you permission to call me either Omega Jones or Critical Bard. But if someone like Tanya says I'm Cypher of Tyr, did not say her first name might be out there, but then from then on, you refer to me as Cypher or Cypher of Tyr, because that's the boundary that I have placed and given you. Unless I've told you personally that you can call me by my first name, or we've gotten to that basis, then call me by what I have asked you to call me. If Kelly says call me Opera Geek, then call me the Opera Geek. You know, it's like that. Obviously, we can find your name out there. We've all done like articles or whatever. But if this is like, you know, what I say my name, it's almost akin to a stage name as well. There are many people who have stage names, and though you might know their real name, their stage name is what they are. That's their title. That's who they are. So it's honestly, for me, as simple as just respecting what they've asked. And if you can't do the basic thing and just respect someone, that's a problem. Period. Like, again, for me, like just using me as an example, I'm okay with being called Omega Jones, because that is what I've placed out there. I could have easily taken off my name off of my Twitter and everything and just put Critical Bard and left it at that. But I said, you know what? My name's Omega. I also go by Critical Bard or CB or whatever. But that's me. It's all on a case-by-case basis. My boundaries are not Kelly's boundaries, are not Dr. Rachel's boundaries, are not Brian's boundaries. Like, we all have different ideas of what we personally want. So get to know that person, understand that person and what they need and what they would like from you, and go from there. That's me.
What about the rest of you? Like, I mean, some of us have more obvious stage names than others. How do you distinguish and even educate people on that differentiation between your home life and what you put on screen?
I like how none of us went first. I mean, you know what? I'll just put it out there. My real name is out there. And a friend of ours, Pleasantly Twisted, you know, she actually had to curb calling me by name because, like Omega said, there'd be people in the chat that would greet me, "Hey, Tanya," and I'm like, who are you? And I finally was just like, do I know you in person? Because if so, your screen name isn't picking up anything. This even happened recently with someone I've known for like 15 years who popped in the chat, was super familiar, and I was like, I'm not going to drop the F-bomb because we're front page. I want to, but I'm not. But I was like, whomst? Because the Twitter or the Twitch name they chose was nothing like anything I'd pick up. Mm-hmm. And even when they were like, oh yeah, my name is like blah, 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 it still didn't click because I immediately went into fight or flight mode because of things I have experienced on the platform. So it's not just distinguishing my personal and private, or I'm sorry, my private life and my on-screen, you get to see me in these moments. It's when people who have known you for a long time cross the streams and they have no idea about Twitch culture, about online culture, and they want to pop in and support. But it's like, cool, you may have known me for 20 years. The people you are in this chat with have known me maybe 20 minutes. And you coming with the in-jokes and over familiarity, that'd be cool if we were at a bar and kicking it, doesn't work the same way. So it also goes with when your real life, aka off stream, converges with stream chat and stream life.
It's so weird. I mean, this is such a new frontier. I don't know of anybody's parents who, instead of sitting down and saying, you say please and thank you when the server brings you your food, sits down with their kid and says, okay, that's a streamer. You don't call them by their first name unless they give you permission.
So I'm going to address something I just saw in chat, where someone said, performers want the benefits of a fan-based income with none of the downsides. I find it hard to feel bad.
I'm sorry, what?
This is
I missed that one.
This is
Wow.
okay.
So did
this is
I.
my job. This is my job. I have a degree in performance. Sure, you might be a fan, which still feels very weird, honestly, I think, for any of us to say that.
We're back. Hello.
Hi. Hello. As promised, he's very concentrated because he knows where the treat is on the desk. Do you want to look that way? Do you want to look that way? Do you want to look up and down? And there you go, Poppers. Yeah, you chew so loud.
No.
Aw.
I'm not touching anything else on my computer because apparently moving the mouse was too much.
Well, thanks everybody for hanging on and continuing to hang out with us, because I think we were getting into a really important point, and we're going to back up a little bit. For context, for those of you who are maybe just joining us, we're talking about parasocial relationships, the one-way relationship that can exist frequently in fandoms, and that seems to be especially powerful in streaming and content creation. And we had an unfortunate comment just a few minutes ago that basically said streamers want all the fan-based income without any of the downsides that come along with it. And we got some feels about that. Kelly, I know you had some things to say about this.
You know, hold on. I got to make myself mad again. No, that's okay. I'm a ginger. I'm mad all the time. That's the secret. Okay. So I tried to be nice last time. I'm really tempted to not be, but it's okay. Just because someone is a public figure does not mean that we have to tolerate abuse, harassment, degrading messages, sexual messages, anything that crosses a boundary that much. And honest to God, we are sick of hearing people say that we can't respond to that. We're sick of people whining, you can't quote tweet me because you're too big of a thing. Well, then you shouldn't have said it.
Period.
If you don't want someone to respond, don't say it, because we're going to. And we are not things, we are people, we are not objects. And if you behave that way in the least bit, I don't need your $5 a month, and neither do any of these people. That's it. Public figures are not things that you can treat the way you want and tell them they have to take it. Because I'll tell you where you can take that, but I can't because this is PG-13.
I mean, I'll take the L.
We only get one an hour, so you know.
I'm going to take that a step further, though, because the specifics of this statement is what's just annoying me. I want the benefits of a fan-based income with none of the downsides. So what you're saying is, okay, yes, you're correct. Twitch is about people who are giving their money to you so you can earn a living. That is true, but that's true for many things. But past that, you're saying just because you gave $4.99, now if I'm a bad person, if I'm someone who wants to just make your life a living hell, because I paid $4.99, I have every right to now do that, and you can't get mad because you took my money. No, that's not how it works. Just because you sat there and decided to give an ounce of something that you have, it does not give you the utmost right to now just be a fuck ass, for lack of a better word, and make my community worse or just toxic or whatever you want to call that. It's not okay. just like Kelly said, just because we have this position, it does not mean that you can do what you want without consequence. Like, here's the thing: you don't have to feel bad about it. They're still going to catch that block. I don't feel bad about doing that. It's just the truth. And now you done paid me and caught a block. So who won in the end? But without being petty, it's still not okay. Just because you are a person who's decided to make a living or put themselves out there, it does not give anyone else the right to now make that person feel at their lowest and get away with it. That's just not how humanity or society works. You don't get to do something without a consequence. If you act up, you get done. We all know what happens. We've been seeing it in chat already. That's just how it is, whether you pay to be here or not. So
freedom
no.
isn't freedom without the freedom to take the consequences. It is the freedom upon which all others are based. Period.
Just dropping some Pratchett, huh?
Who are you talking to?
That was kind of a given. I mean, we were going to have that.
Just Discworld quotes everywhere. Okay, sorry, we're done.
Well, and so here's something that I've been thinking about as we've been talking. There's
Tanya.
What was the what?
I was there.
You asked, I shall deliver.
Well,
Wait, I don't know
hello there.
happened. What? What?
Don't worry about
Someone
it.
got asked to get blocked and banned. So boom.
Oh.
Literally. So as you've all been talking, there's a quote from an early episode of The Simpsons that keeps coming to mind. It's an exchange between a comic book guy and some of the creators of Itchy and Scratchy, where he's just asking they're at a convention asking a pedantic question, and I hope someone got fired for that mistake. And Bart claps back with, these people have given you thousands of hours of entertainment. Do they really owe you? This is nothing new, but this is primarily for Dr. Rachel. How have parasocial relationships changed and shifted as media has changed and shifted?
Yeah, it's nothing new, but it is kind of a different dynamic, or at least it's perceived to be a different dynamic, even though it's not. Streamers are still very much public figures that do not owe their fans anything. But our content is available 24/7, right? There's the up close and personal nature of streams themselves, where I can say, hi, the Opera Greek, and she can say, hi, Zeitgeist, and I have that connection, right? You don't have that with other traditional movie stars or television celebrities. There's this element of fandom, but this is why stronger boundaries are so important. And I'm really glad we're having this conversation for the other content creators here, because you need to set these stronger boundaries from the beginning, because the accessibility of streamers leads to over familiarity, right? And that is a constant problem and struggle and balance between fostering community and having those boundaries as a performer.
Well, it strikes me that this is a unique medium in that we've never had the level of democratic interactivity that we've had before in other forms of media. And I know that, Brian, Tanya, well, everybody here is at different points in their streaming career. How do y'all set those boundaries?
I just tell people they can go. That if this isn't, no, seriously.
It's real.
Because you showed up here. I didn't drag you to this chat. I didn't drag you to my channel. If you're at a convention even and you don't like something I said on a panel, you walked in that room. I didn't drag you there. The only exception being someone I actually know. I may have literally been like, I'm a nervous wreck, please come with me. But the average person sitting watching this stream right now that may have come across on, front page or through word of mouth. Here's the thing. The way you found your way in this chat, if you don't like what we're talking about, you can backspace right out. Ain't nobody stopping you. And Brian, in his raid welcome video, even has that. Should you find this not to your liking, if for some reason you don't like the content, me, or anything that I'm doing, or in case of spoilers, the exits are this way. That is my mantra. Except Brian did it way more stylishly than I ever could.
I don't know. To tack onto that, I would say how do we do it is constantly. I am constantly saying You know, I know like a while ago I said flat out on stream, and I don't know, I think I was just doing a just chatting coffee because that's when I ramble the most. And I simply said, you may feel like you know me, but we're not friends. And I felt a little bad after it left my mouth, and I was like, okay, no, that's what I meant. And then later on, I was watching another streamer who they were talking about that moment, and they were like, I actually needed to hear that. And it shook me when I heard it, but it's one of those things where it's like, you actually need to hear that sometimes. So sometimes I feel what I'm doing is I'm catching myself. If I'm about to share too much information, I will actually say, actually, y'all aren't entitled to hear that, or I don't need to share that with you. It's constant. It's really constant for me.
And I think it's just as important for the streamer's well-being as it is for to keep the community as a safe place, as a place where people want to be, as a place where you want to be, as your community that you want to foster, to constantly have to set those boundaries because the lines are blurry. I mean, I can't just sit and talk to Henry Cavill, right? He's not going to talk to me on his stream, but I can sit here and talk to Urban Bohemian.
Did literally everybody sigh in the chat? It's like,
We tried to get Henry Cavill recently for a stream.
Tried to get him on a panel. No.
Yeah. I mean, you have one Geralt at the start of my stream, so you should be content.
Yes, I am.
You're all in the business of creating community. How do you balance that one-directional relationship with creating this community?
But like, okay. Creating a community does not mean everyone can walk into my house. It means you can come in my yard. You can come in and hang out for the cookout. No, you can't come to the cookout. You can come to the potluck. You can bring your individuality, but not all of that is allowed into my home. So with that being said, creating a community also means weeding out those that don't fit in said community, especially those who sit there and only join said community to be hassles, to be problems, to be those weeds you don't want. And while some of that is hard to gauge because some people are doing it on purpose and some people just don't understand, and that's a different topic we can get on a little later. But like I always say, I want to foster a community that is based on the pillars of inclusion, diversity, accessibility, respect, love, honor, these things that I hold near and dear to my heart. And if you can't follow one of those, if you can't, like, let's go respect, if you can't respect the simple things I ask of you in my channel, like for instance, I am striving to not use ableist terms in my channel. And we all know that's hard to do in life, only because we grew up with words saying crazy and insane and all that. We grew up with that was in our lexic, and trying to get it out is a process, and we understand that it's a process. But if you can't respect that, and I keep seeing you do that, I see you don't actually want to be in this community. You don't want to be someone I am close to. Then you're gone, you know. So, and I know that was a very specific example, but it still comes full circle when you think about these parasocial relationships. When you think about people who want to be friendly, whether that's making something for you or gifting a sub to someone, or trying to always be in their corner. If that streamer says, "Hey, I appreciate what you're doing," back up a little bit. Hey, I or like, for instance, we all know how many people love to be mod lights in chat. When we just say, "Hey, the mods got this," and you can't respect that boundary, that's a problem. You're not adding to the community that I want to foster. You're trying to create your own lane in said community, and that's a problem in itself. So it's all about, you can create your community, you can curate your community, but those communities still have boundaries and rules, and you have to respect that if you want to be there.
Yeah. Well, I think the other part too is to even dial back a little bit is, remember, going live and throwing out a Discord is not building a community. That having a group of people who like what you do in one spot is not a community. Raphael and I actually did a panel about this back in the days when you could go to conventions. You have to actively do the work. You have to cultivate what kind of, I guess, vibe that you want there. Is this a community where people can be open, they can ask questions, they can have dialogue? And this does not mean like good vibes only positive stuff all the time. We don't talk about the real world. This is, we can talk about some real things, but you need to realize everybody's not operating on the same playing field, that there's socioeconomic differences, there's racial differences, there are identity differences where, like, me and Brian is two Black queer people, and Omega, God, yeah.
All good.
All of us have different experiences, but we're all Black and we're all queer. But, Brian and I are closer in age than us and Omega. And all these things that you have to remember is that you're bringing people from all different points of view, all different walks of life, even geographically. And you have to put in the work. You have to be present. When you decide, here's the Discord, I'm not going to be there, you're going to come back. It's going to be like your Animal Crossing house with the roaches and the weeds, and just as toxic. So before you even get into like building community, you have to know what a community is and it is not. You make a Discord, throw open the doors and go with God. That's not a community.
Build is a verb. It is an active verb. It is something that you have to continually do, as is curate. We have the right as performers to curate the communities that we have built, both to uphold the values that we want in the community and to protect the people that are already in the community. Because I'm only speaking for myself here. I've got a much smaller community than the other 3 streamers, like Twitch streamers that are here. I am very protective of my community because once you have worked hard at something, you want to see it thrive. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is that this is work. This isn't a like crock pot that you turn on and just leave it for hours. Is that how that works? I think that's how that works. You just leave it for hours and don't do anything with it. You have to actively work at constantly building the community that you're trying to create, or else it's going to get away from you. And suddenly your name is going to be associated with things you don't want it associated with because you haven't curated your communities.
So how do you all put you mentioned this, Kelly, that everybody here, and now, Dr. Rachel has started streaming about, what, 2 months ago?
Yeah.
So, everybody here who streams is at very different levels in terms of the sizes of their audience, the sizes of their community, if they're actively building that community. What tips do you have for people for how to do that and cultivate basically good boundaries with different audience sizes?
Well, I mean, again, don't speak for anybody else, but regardless of the size of the audience, the boundaries don't change.
Yep. I was about to say the exact same thing, then I realized I was muted.
You pulled the Kelly. Yay, someone used the mute emote in chat. There's a reason I have one. The boundaries don't change based on the size. So one thing that I learned really early on in my opera career was that you don't change your voice to fit the room. Whether you're singing in a tiny little studio that you're auditioning in, or whether you're singing in a 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 person performance hall, your voice is your voice. It stays the same. You don't change it to fit where you're at. And the same thing goes for your boundaries and your values. They remain the same. They can evolve, but the base level of the lines that you draw in the sand are always there. And they should be regardless of however many people are in your community.
Yeah, we are constantly having conversations, not only in mine, but in other communities, because I'm a mod in Tanya's, and we're constantly having conversations about, and essentially like the tone, the boundaries, the feel of the community. And there are times when our decisions, like me as the Discord owner or a moderator or an admin, they may we try to direct people towards, you know, like a better outcome, but sometimes people say, well, this is ridiculous, I can do this in other community that I can't do here. And we simply say, okay, this doesn't sound like it's a place for you. Like, it is not, there's no malice there. It's clearly like our vibe and your vibe do not mesh. This is not the place for you. And that's like, and it's possible to consume someone's content without going any further than that. You can enjoy their channel on Twitch. You don't have to follow them on social media, on YouTube, on Discord, on Snap. You don't have to do anything. You can just enjoy the hours upon hours upon hours of nearly free content they are giving you. And that's it.
Well, and actually, you know, jumping on that, Brian, we had a comment from Oba Lauren in the chat a while ago, and this is such a great. She always comes in with these great quotes in chats, and in this case, being a patron gets you the art, not the person. It's succinct. It sounds like it sums up a lot of what y'all are trying to say about people's entitlement to you across multiple fronts.
Oba Lauren, when that's on a shirt, I wear a medium.
So, you know, I can just dip into Canva when we're off this panel, right? So my computer.
No.
Merchandise. Merchandise.
Yeah, but it's like, it made me think of something, because it was said to, I think, Dazbiv, who is like a moderator in almost every channel I watch. And that's not being shady. That's because Dazbiv's amazing.
Dazbiv is amazing.
Dazbiv is amazing, yes.
No idea how Dazbiv does it.
Inhuman.
But, you know, someone made a comment because, you know, I like to think that I'm very firm and very clear on my boundaries, both on social media and in the stream. Basically, we have the mantra of we don't do that here. And we actually have a code of conduct for our Discord, and I take that in other places. But someone felt like they were always being slapped down. They were always being corrected. And it was like, but we've asked you not to do the thing. Why is it hard for you not to do the thing that we have asked you not to do? You are not special. You are not above the rules. Because even if, like, for some reason, let's say CB, Kelly, Brian, anyone on this panel, or anyone I know who's watching, came in and started acting a little bit not themselves, A, I'd be concerned, but B, the rules would still apply, mod sword or not. I don't care how long I've known you. Because I thought about that as we were talking about community. You have to apply the rules across the board. You can be like, oh, they're my friend, they're my buddy, they're a moderator. No, if they break your community guidelines, and it's important that you have them, whether it's simple as we don't do that here, we don't tolerate all the phobias, isms, etc., or you go very in depth, excuse me, people need to understand that they can't go in like Brian's channel act one way, come to my channel act the exact same way. Like, I ain't Brian, I love him, but this ain't his channel. You're not gonna act that way here. And if you don't like it, and if you don't like it, deuces, I'll send you $5 by PayPal. Have a good night.
You know, and I was gonna say something else, but it's the moment is skipped already. But just like, you know, Kelly said, respect the big, and just like you respect the small. Respect Mac Mercer, but also respect the other D&D GMs you see out there. Just because they don't have a name that's out there and visible doesn't mean you don't show them the respect. But what I really want to get at, just especially because Tanya just said that, here's the thing. Especially when it comes to these parasocial relationships, when it comes to these things, these ideas that people have, if you act out of pocket with me, you think I'm not talking to Tanya? You think I'm not talking to all these other streamers so they can watch out for the signs, so they can be aware of what's happening, so they don't deal with the things I have? No. So you got to understand that real quick. We don't play that game. And it's not to like sit there and give your get your information and like talk about you. It's not about being shady. It's not being catty. It's about making sure that people are safe. So if someone is doing something that isn't okay, and I know someone who has you in that channel, I'm gonna let that person know about your actions so they can make the choice, whatever choice they decide to make, they can make that with the knowledge of what is going on. Because that's what we have to do. We have to be prepared. We have to be ready to make sure not just our community is curated, but the friends that are fellow streamers, their communities are also curated. So know that.
Because you better believe if something goes off in somebody's channel and I have mod access, I'm like, here's some screenshots, here's some names. You do with them what you will, but just so you know this happened.
Oh yeah, our team has our team essentially has meetings, and it's like, this happened, this is what they did, and very often you will find yourself unwelcome and removed from all of our communities.
Yeah, and everybody here who's telling this, they are not being hyperbolic. Like, seriously, I've seen some of those screenshots.
Look, and I'll
I
text
get a text
you.
message from Tanya, and I know she's having an off day. I'm like, what's going on? And then she shows me the receipts.
Oh, I don't get. There's nothing to lie about. We have 100% have list of reported and blocked people, just in case somebody sees a name like, I recognize that name. Pull up the facts real quick. Yep, they're right here.
I mean, that just happened with you and me, Tanya.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, because Kelly tweeted something, and I was like, so the name, though.
Yeah.
Give me the name. I just want to talk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Immediately, as soon as I said the name, they're like, aha, yeah, no, I know who that is. You know, like Dazbiff just said, there's two reasons a streamer is going to know your name. Either you're awesome or you're not.
God,
true.
And actually continues to be awesome.
I want to comment on something only because I'm really not trying to make it a Q&A and not really comment on everything we see. But someone said something, and I'm calling you out. You're already banned. Sorry about it. But they said the viewer. I'm not at all. The viewer is the least least protected person in this environment, and that's false.
Totally false.
Because you have ridiculous. The executive decision, you have the executive ability to scroll through and click on somebody's thing and type your hadassery. You have the ability to do that. You don't need protection in that case. You made the very clear choice to come into my house and disrespect me in my own home. If you do that, then don't be pressed when we come back at you with some blocked. On the flip side, we can't always see, the streamer can't always see when someone comes into their stream. I'm going to take a very clear example from the other day. You all know I was PogChamp for a day. We all know this. My mods, thank you, Daspif, calling you out again. And so many people, there were so many people I wasn't even aware of that got blocked and banned at that point because it was constant. It was constant. How can you say that the viewer is the least protected person when someone like me or anyone gets bombarded with racial tirades and bigotry 24/7? I know we're kind of going on a tangent with that, but I'm just trying to get you to understand when we have these panels, just understand that we're not saying it just to be talking out of our asses. These are very clear and very real things that streamers go through. So we're just trying to give you a little bit of knowledge. And if you don't want to accept that knowledge, just as Tanya just said, you don't have to be here. And as Brian says, the exit is in one of these doors. Pick one. I always say if there's a window, you can jump out of that one too. Like, you don't have to be here.
Look, it's a digital window. You won't get hurt. You can go.
I'm curious, Dr. Rachel, why does this entitlement happen? Because I mean, we saw what happened with CB earlier this week. We've heard stories from Tanya. We've heard stories from Kelly. We've heard stories from Brian. We've all seen it. We've all experienced it at different levels. Why?
Oh, I think we all know why, because people think there's no repercussions on the internet. But there are repercussions on the internet. There are, as we've already seen in this stream here. I think what's really important to take away from here is that streamers are real people. And just because you feel like you're anonymous and you think they're performers and they somehow owe you a sense of attention, doesn't give you the right to say what you want. They can ban you. I mean, basically, we're all opening our doors and saying, come in, come hang out for a while. And like Omega said, if you come in and you're disrespectful, you are going to leave. Just like you can't go to Costco without a mask and they can kick you out, we can also ask you to take the exit. But you know, this is also why it's so important for the content creators that are here watching. It's not only your right, but it's your responsibility to set these boundaries, or the community does get away from you, right? So we choose to watch streams based on the streamer. It's much less the content. People find that consistently we are here for the streamer. The streamer sets boundaries, and if you don't like them, then you won't get to be there.
So, what do you say we end the first hour on that note? We take a five-ish minute break, and make sure you stick around, everybody, because we are going to be allowing some audience Q&A in the latter portion of the next hour that we're going to be talking. So please make sure to stick around. Warning, we will not be able to answer your individualized questions. If you have a situation going on in your stream you want individual attention for, I know some of these people can be hired for consultation. I encourage you to do so. But yeah, let's take a 5-ish minute break and then come back and have the second hour of this.
Yes. Hang out, don't go anywhere. We're gonna throw up a break screen, chill out, and we'll see you in 5. Hello, we're back. How is everyone?
Thirsty.
Look, my glass, I don't know if you can read it, but it's well, you can't read it, but
Oh.
it has the 2020 sentiment on it.
We're in a pandemic. I'm always thirsty. So
Thirsty Thursday.
Oh, those come back soon.
Well,
I mean, I have switched from tea to bourbon, if that is the time that we are
Mhm.
That's where we're at.
at.
I have a lovely gin and tonic. How's
Well-
everyone doing?
We are back.
I think we're about, now that everybody has gone into the second hour, and most of us anyway, have different adult libations as
Oh,
opposed to the
Dr.
water
Rachel.
and tea we were drinking. Sorry, Dr. Rachel.
Oh, no.
My peppermint tea with honey in my Freud cup.
yes.
But thank you everybody for sticking around for the second hour. As we go through this, if you have any questions for these panelists, and we are definitely not going to be able to get through all of them, make sure to hit us up in the chat, beginning with !question.
Thank you.
That's the command, right, Kelly?
Yes. Questions.
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 type
Within it.
Plural.
question.
Excuse me. I
Yes, type
apologize.
question beforehand before you post so we can actually see it very clearly.
Yes.
And also,
And,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, and again, if you are asking for individual recommendations or advice, we cannot give that because your stream is different from our other from our other panelist streams. And additionally, this is about their expertise, not consultation. Although like I said before, I do know several of them are available to be hired for consultation on that.
Kelly,
I know
Kelly
everybody
is
here
muted.
is big on the pay us front.
What, Tanya?
No, someone in chat said
Thought
you were muted.
Oh, I'm always muted. That's a safety precaution.
Yes.
For y'all.
So if you want to ask a question, I'm hearing myself.
I don't know. We may have already had some things we wanted to talk about. Oh, there's an extra arm.
Oh yeah, we still got stuff to talk about. But we're just saying, in general, if you want to ask questions, you can start prepping
Bodied
questions
arm.
with questions in all caps. Then the question, and one of the mods will grab it, so we can see it. But yeah, that's that.
Let's try this out.
Yes, you can use your pirate Jesus emotes if you got them in chat.
Oh, it didn't.
That's
I'm
all.
not
That's
sure.
all you're gonna. That's all you're gonna see of him.
So you just want us to use question all caps and then a colon and then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about anything else, or are we just doing all Q&A for the second half?
No, well, we've definitely got some other things we want to talk about, and one of them is this is something that's near and dear to me, just because I'm very public about my autism, and for a lot of folks with on the spectrum, and for a lot of other folks who have other neurodevelopmental needs, asynchronous, not in-person communication, like via text or chat, is really important for us because we can't always respond in real time. And so at the same time, reading the room is sometimes a challenge. So what are the tips you all have for how to read a room, since every chat's a little different?
Observe, see how people are interacting, and also realize that learn what the badges on Twitch mean, because I've been in chats where people didn't know like what the pink diamond, which is a VIP badge, or like what the sword means. Now, if you're on Twitch long enough, you should know a sword means moderator. But read the room, see how people are interacting. Like, is this a chat where it's okay to get a little lewd, or is it a chat where people are being super serious conversation? I'm playing a very dark and grim game. And, just in any case, especially if you're new to a chat, don't come in and get over familiar. Don't come in and say things like step on me daddy or stuff like that. Cause it's creepy. I don't know you. Or, in the case of like, I've seen people do this to Brian and CB, and especially in Brian's case where they're like, oh, your voice. And I'm like, you've been here 5 minutes. Could you not? It creeps me out. I'm sorry, Brian. I did not mean to make you spill.
She
but
timed
please.
that so well.
I wasn't even looking. That's the funny part. I was looking at my camera. So I didn't even see that Brian was taking a drink. But if you'd like to expand on that, Brian.
I definitely, it is really difficult because I think the biggest problem or not problem, but the biggest difficulty or misunderstandings we've had are with people who have a difficult time processing what is behind the meaning of text, and whether it is silly or sarcastic or serious or questioning. And you have somebody who is live sometimes trying to process that themselves. We're trying to figure out, are you kidding? Are you trolling? Are you, and certain people who we know you're playing. So I do think that it helps, again, like I said earlier, constantly establish, to constantly talk about comments that aren't cool, comments that are okay. I know Tanya and I literally will say, Cypher of Tyr and Urban Bohemian can get away with that. Y'all can't. Like, we actually say this because people don't know. And there are a lot of channels which unfortunately don't, it's not shade, it's not a call out, it's not dragging, but they don't do that work. They just turn the camera on and they let chat fly at unbelievable speeds, and they just, and anything, and it becomes an anything goes area. And a lot of people here, we don't have the luxury of doing that on the internet. You basically have Black people, queer people, women here. We don't have the luxury of just letting anything happen in our chats. So I feel like that is to constantly, just honestly, just constantly, when you see things that may be misunderstood, or don't be afraid to, if you see a conversation in chat getting out of hand, don't be afraid to gently, sorry, one of the comment just caught me off guard in chat.
Ditto.
Don't be afraid to gently.
I charge for that.
I can't.
I mean, that
Hello.
probably costs more than $5 a month. I'm just
It's
saying.
definitely going to cost.
We refrain from swearing for the most part. Y'all can refrain from those sorts of comments.
That costs way more than a tier
Yeah.
3 sub, even. I'll be
Right?
honest.
That
So-
is OnlyFans tier stuff.
so yeah, I really think it's, as a lot of things we've said wrap into this. It helps if you and your mods, and the term mod light was used really well, because I have people who are new and try to mod light, but I have most of the people, and like, if you've even just been in this chat, you've seen there are a bunch of people in this chat who understand how these communities work. Their comments, their conversation is lending to this content, lending to people in chat understanding. That's the kind of thing you want. And I can never speak for how anyone's going to interpret anything, but yeah, kind of watch the flow of conversation. And I know people have likened it to going to a party where you don't know anyone and being unafraid to talk to people. What do? Most people like me, I kind of stand in the corner and I suss things out before deciding if I'm going to talk to somebody. It can be very similar in a Twitch chat. If you're new, you really have to see how things are. And maybe it's for you, maybe it's not for you, but yeah.
And I have other thoughts, but I want other people to talk first.
Oh, I'm going to address something that was just said. Yeah, free-for-all chats are an expression of freedom of speech, like it or not. No, I'm not the government. Thanks, bye.
And if you want a free-for-all chat, you can have one. But every community doesn't have to have one, because it's their community and they have their rules and they have their guidelines. And my advice, which has already been said, would be lurk and read the guidelines of every community, because what you can say on one channel is not what you can say on another. So find a different channel that allows that.
I'm sure there are a million chats where you can go and just chat as a cesspool, and that's what you like.
Oh, yeah.
I can direct you right that way by way of banning you.
Yup.
Because here's the thing. All of us here, in some way or another, have been harassed, spoken to, misspoken to, talked to like we're pieces of meat. And that we're here literally just for entertainment, forgetting that we are real live human beings. And then when this camera goes off, I got things I got to do. I have people I need to check in on. There's a community that I have fostered and built. That you and your, oh, tee-hee, it's the internet. Those days are gone. I know that 2020 has ruined a lot of us. But you don't get to dictate to a streamer that I'm going to come in and do whatever you want. Screw your rules. You know what? That's a one-way ticket to Blocksylvania.
Blocksylvania.
I want that on a hoodie.
Look, I
need to
got
buy all the
Canva.
merch.
I
I
think
have
there's like
Canva.
20 things we've said that we need to put on
There's just going to be
clothing
one
items.
massive Canva document with just, yeah. Yep, yep,
And
yep.
Blickamore is in the chat. So Blickamore, I will throw some money your way if you want to design stuff. Here's Canva. Here's some fonts. Go forth.
See, I'm just over there like
yeah.
Block City, big Block City, big. Like that's me.
Like, yeah. And like Cypher points out, the work doesn't stop when the camera turns off.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same people that think that Omega and I are just gonna have a little moment here together. Same people that think that we can sing just because that's how we were born and we don't train for it. And they don't want to pay us because it's not like you have an instrument or anything. Yeah,
Your voice is an instrument.
exactly. But it's the work is constant. It's not a job that gets left at 5 o'clock. It's just not how it goes.
It's not a shot. It's just all you get is my delicious drink.
Be quiet. I'm not muted. He was sorry. He thought I was muted. He was giving me a drink.
So this is sort of a weird question. I was thinking about last night. Is that there are some of us who have become legitimate friends with some people in our chats.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a member of a chat, how can you tell the difference whether this is whether the streamer that you're watching is your friend or is just being nice to you because that's customer service essentially?
I'm going to comment on that because I think about this all the time when I go into Tanya's chat. I mean, many people's chat, but I think about Tanya specifically because I know Tanya a little more personally now than most. But when I come in, she still deserves respect as a streamer, respect as a woman, respect as a person in this industry. No matter if I'm a friend or not, I can kiki and have fun and be chill, whatever. But at the end of the day, I am in her space and I'm going to respect her rules, how she wants them to be. Because in this space, though we are friends, at that moment, I am a viewer. She is a streamer. I might be a viewer with a sword, but I'm a viewer nonetheless, and she is the streamer. So you have to make sure that you understand those optics. Yeah, I can be friends with anybody, but there are things that I can do with you offline that I would not do with you online because someone else is going to take that as if they're doing it, I can do it. False. It's now how it works.
Yeah, it's also a matter of, at least for me, I have I compartmentalize in my head. These are my friends who also happen to be colleagues, but when they are working, they are colleagues. It is a completely different way of approaching the friendship. You're not going to just be able to waltz in and do whatever you want and say, oh, well, don't you know who I am? No, that's not how you behave. You wouldn't go into your friend's office and do that. I mean, maybe some of you would. I don't know. It's a little weird. But just remember that respect is literally the first step in any kind of relationship. Mm-hmm. Whether it's friendship, whether it's colleagues, anything.
And for me, like wondering, because there are a lot of different types of content creators and streamers, YouTube, Twitch, etc. out there. Some have the blanket term friends for their community. Some will always say, I love you all, as a standard thing. A lot of us, I, for one, do not do that. But if you're wondering, I guess for friendship, for me, and I especially kind of pull this back to the internet as a whole, you can know a lot about a person from their Twitch feed, from their social media, from their Instagram. For me, from my blog was like it was a personal blog for many, many years. But for me, the difference is, do you know something about me because you read it online, or do you know something about me because we have talked about it personally? And for me, that is a huge, huge, huge gap. People know what I do for a living. They might, they know roughly where I live, but that's all because they've seen me say it online. We haven't had DMs, we haven't had phone calls, we've not written letters, that kind of thing. That's for me is a big fall off when I only know something about you because you posted it online.
Any other any other comments on that before we've already got some great questions coming in, and we want to make sure to get to as many of those as we can. Any thoughts before we get into those questions?
No, because I'd
Okay.
just be repeating what other people said, but better.
Okay.
Not me. Never mind.
Oh, they did. She was
I was about to say,
trying to say they did it better.
What they said it better. I cannot word. I'm flustered.
Well, you're also running
Yeah,
you're also
doing
running
everything.
production.
Yeah, incidentally, I want to take a second and thank Tanya for running the production on this so that I wasn't stressed out of my mind any more than I am right now. But yes, Tanya, Cypher of Tear, is an amazing person. Go follow.
Thank you, Tanya.
Subs.
Thank you.
She's giving me
So-
the look and I don't care because I am so many
This
states
look?
away.
No, please stop. You are perceiving me, and I just want to sit
Right.
here.
She's about to disappear off camera. Look, yeah, like
I'm just gonna throw something over my camera. I'm not here.
Smoke bomb. Gone.
Basically,
What?
Okay, so we have some great questions already, and these are absolutely wonderful. If you have questions for our panelists, make sure to type it in with the exclamation point questions before your question so we can see it a little easier. We will not be able to get to all of them, but we will try. And one of them I will just ask Dr. Rachel about really quickly. Hey, does Take This plan on putting out any sort of infographic or anything about parasocial relationships? Maybe something on your stream, Zeitgeist?
Well, I have a YouTube channel called Zeitgeist, and we post it's just me. I post every Wednesday. There is a video coming out about parasocial relationships. And I think it's next month. This month is all about gaming addiction, if that's your jam. But yes, if you go to youtube.com/Zeitgeist, we have video content every week, and parasocial relationships specifically related to streaming is one of the videos coming up.
That is awesome. Okay, so how do we as streamers get this message across to those who should be here to listen but don't have the emotional maturity to be here preemptively? I think basically, how do you get people to listen who aren't there ready to listen?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not even going to pretend I got an answer because as all of us have said in preparing for this panel and the many times we have DM'd and tried to find a day we can all come together, the very people that need to be here probably aren't going to be here. It's the people who know these things and they put them in practice. And for those of the people that know us and are in our communities, it's going to be kind of oh, that's cool, I'm learning more. But the real people, and Kelly and I know exactly who we're talking about, the folks that forget that the person on your screen is not your BFF, that need to be here and don't want to hear this. Because if you say, hey, I think we're having this talk, I think it'd be good, you could see the shutter coming down if you told anyone that, because they'd never want to hear that.
Or you'd get the, oh man, a lot of people need to hear that from the people who need to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Well, how do this is something people can carry with them into their friends. I mean, peer examples are a fantastic way of influencing things. I mean, we see that we've already talked about watching to see what other people do by being the example of the change essentially you want to be in other chats. You carry these lessons outward. So,
But it also comes to
out of the moderator role for a moment.
But no, man, no, you're just as able to answer things, just as lead the conversation. But it goes into the fact that I can educate you, not for free. But but I have no qualms educating you when I believe you truly just want to learn and you are ignorant, not in a negative connotation. You just truly, just don't know. I can, Jesus, thank you, Vodka Mule. I can give you that information that Google can also give you, but I'll give it to you personally so you understand. But past that, if you still don't want to listen, and there's a difference between still being unsure and just not listening. We can tell the difference. If you just don't want to listen, it is not up to the streamer or the professional or the content creator or the person with a high profile to continuously educate you. They have the ability to say, I'm good, go learn it on your own, go to Google, go to Bing, I don't know, dogpile.com, whatever is still out there, go to those things because there's nothing else I can do that's going to get through you. You have the ability to say, no, I'm done, I'm backing up, because it's only going to lead to emotional and mental turmoil for you as a streamer. When you start to go, okay, am I saying it wrong? What am I not getting through? Like, why am I? Then you realize, no, it's not about, it actually wasn't you. It was the person who just refused to listen. Some people in the society just refuse to listen. So don't give them don't give them your time anymore. Don't give them your efforts past that. In my opinion, that's just me, but still.
Well, one of the things I think I hear you saying in there is that there's no one way to do this. Essentially, as the content creator, you create the own boundaries within your community. Mm-hmm. And I strongly suspect that this is something that new streamers need to hear, because we're getting a lot of questions about what do new streamers do? What do new streamers do? And it sounds like it's coming up over and over and over again with a lot of folks on this panel that as a streamer, this is your house.
I do want to quickly say something though, and it might be controversial, but I don't care. Just because we are saying a thing, don't take our word as law. No one can be your stream coach. It's all going to be on you. It's going to be how your community is, how you want it to be, what you believe your own boundaries are, how you go about doing X, Y, and Z. No one can tell you the definitive way to being successful. It's not a thing. Period. We all get there at different ways, in different ways. So just take what we're saying, not saying take it with a grain of salt, but just these are just little tips and tricks. These are not rules. These are not the 10 Commandments. These are just what we have seen and what we can give you from our own point of view and our own personal feelings on the matter. That's all.
Yeah, and also, don't be afraid to talk to someone who's streaming. Now keep in mind, we don't mean go in someone's stream when they're live and go, I want to start streaming, tell me how to do it, because we've all had that happen. No, like someone literally, like they hung out for a while, and they're like, hey, I really like your chat rules. Do you mind if I use this as a template? Please go forth. Do things like that. Or just like if you see the vibe in their community and you like how they've got there, maybe Twitter DM them. If they've got a Discord, just go, I really like how you run your community. Do you have time? And may I offer you a coffee in these troubled times? Because time is money, and my time is valuable, as is all our time. Or just observe other streamers. Go, that fits how I want to run my channel. And at the end of the day, this is not a democracy. I know I saw somebody trying to do the First Amendment. We're not the government, because if we were the government, we wouldn't be in this predicament. First off, we wouldn't have stolen an election. Second. And third, this is our house that we willingly let you into, that you chose to step across the threshold like a vampire. If you don't like it, there's the door. Nobody's keeping you here. Instead of screaming and kicking and going, oh, y'all are mean, you don't let me basically walk in and walk all over your face, you can go. Because you can be thrown out or you can walk out. And if you learn how to act, maybe you can come back one day. Who knows?
Oh, more questions are coming in, and these are fantastic, and I'm trying to get them all.
That's okay. And I'm gonna reiterate something CB said. I'm not gonna steal our F-bomb. I think that should be for Kelly for the second hour. But stream coaches are bullshit. Do not pay anyone to teach you how to stream, because nobody can guarantee your success except for you. And if you see somebody who's selling a stream coach book or telling you, I'll make sure you get to partner, I'll make sure you get affiliate, you can breathe hard and get affiliate if you stream every day for a week. And that's not being shady. It's just that easy if you have the time to put into it. I personally think stream coaches are 100% bullshit, and that is my opinion, not endorsed by the Opera Geek, but I am going to bring CB on that ride.
Yeah, I'm there. I'll say it real quick. I already said it. I said it in different words, but it's exactly how I feel.
It's the same way that a voice teacher can say, I can give you these tools. I can teach you how to sing. I can teach you how to comport yourself. I can't give you a career. Anybody that promises you a career is lying. They're lying, and usually there's a price tag attached to it. So look for the price tag.
Mm-hmm. And price is usually way too high.
So this question's been coming up a couple times, both in the first hour and now. Have y'all seen a shift in roughly the last, I don't know, 9 months in how people are acting towards you on stream?
What happened in the last?
Is something going on? And is something happening right now?
What?
I don't know.
What's going on?
Is this still happening?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
How's it changed?
100%. I mean, I'm sure for Tanya, CB, and Brian, they're going to have many, 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 many words. My words are, holy crap, do people think they're entitled to details about my personal and private life?
I'm just going to quickly
Yup.
say that the thing is, I don't get to answer this question only because I started streaming during the pandemic. I started streaming while things are already at the oomph. Well, I mean, they were still growing, of course. So I have a little bit, but honestly, I've been seeing people get too familiar since day one. So I don't know what the shift was when you could just go outside and have a cocktail or brunch at Sunday. Yeah, I know, Brian. But so yeah, I don't really know what the shift is, but I have definitely seen people get way too comfortable. And I just go, no. But yeah, I'm sure Tanya and Brian have some different words on that one.
Brian, you go first because I've talked a lot.
Okay. It's honestly it's definitely ramped up, and I honestly, it's one of the places where I absolutely identify more as a Twitch viewer than a content creator, because I have needed some level of interaction myself. So I absolutely understand. And I've also seen the most interesting thing for me is seeing how many people have started streaming during the pandemic, perhaps to find that social interaction for themselves. So yeah, it's absolutely changed. It's hard because streamers aren't your therapists. We're not your counselors. With very, very limited cases, we're not your friends. I'm sorry to say that like that. I'll keep saying it because sometimes it needs to be said. We're not your friends. Some of you were your friends, it's knowing that people need some form of connection with someone who's real that they get from content creators that they don't get from binging Netflix. Like this, because this is happening in real time. We're doing things that they would enjoy doing, that kind of thing. And in a lot of cases, we're interacting with them in real time. So I've definitely seen a huge rise in people just hanging out and people just doing the thing. Y'all need to, I'm right here. I can see you. Stop talking about me.
And if I want,
We want brunch.
I'll
my
text
channel,
you.
and I really want brunch.
Look, if I could, I would. I promise. But
I'll just text you while you're talking.
But yeah, I have seen a huge uptick in just not even in like viewership, but just conversation. Like I think that's the biggest thing for me is a lot of people were fine lurking before. Now, whether it's in Twitch chat, whether it's in Discord, a lot more people are talking because that is clearly the interaction that they need from people, whether it's someone that they know well, kind of know socially, know online. That's what I'm noticing a lot more of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh no,
Go ahead.
Dr. Rachel, you
Oh,
go
doctor.
first.
Oh, God, please. Yes, Dr.
I was just gonna say, I just read a research study. Big surprise! I just read a research study that came out in 2020 that during COVID, people found Twitch was very comforting during like difficult periods. of their life. And it is exactly what you were saying, Brian, because it's live. And even just having it in the background, they felt a sense of entertainment and distraction, but also a sense of social connection and social community. So it has expanded over the last year. That doesn't give you the right to be over familiar. But if you've noticed that it's been upticking, it absolutely has.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, in that same vein, people have asked, like, what's the difference between YouTube and Twitch? It's like YouTube, which people were still doing, being way too familiar in Twitch and YouTube comments. We all know that. But now you have the ability to do that live. Yeah, that's rough. So, yeah, I mean, in that case, yeah, I've 100% seen an uptick of people being too comfortable. You can be comfortable, but you're too comfortable and trying to figure out where that line is and how many of your little toes, your little bunion having toes, can get over that line. Nah, we gonna bring that line back a little bit. Just so you know.
Like, I mean, again, I have a much smaller community, and before the pandemic it was even a smaller community, which honestly I'm not ashamed of. I know some people like to call out numbers as if numbers are the thing that make you a good person or a good streamer. I have a great community. It's smaller, it's fine because they're great. But either way, it started to grow exponentially when the pandemic hit. Like, just all of a sudden I'm like, why have I gone from 10 people in chat to 50? Like, what the heck? You know, I'm sitting here being a weirdo. Like, why are people here? Because you're a weirdo. But yeah, it definitely has changed. And I feel like with the pandemic, people have more time on their hands to see how far they can push the line. And see, I'm like my mom in, well, many ways, but I'm like my mom. You don't get to the count of 3, you get to the count of 2. That's it. Sometimes not even that. That's it.
So Kelly, I'm going to take this moment because I'm in control of the stream and I'm going to fuss at you.
What?
I knew this coming.
What? No, why are you fussing at me? Don't.
No, fuss.
Do it.
Sit up.
I'm going to hold up the dog because you can't fuss at the dog.
Yeah, I can. I grew up with a dog. That does not faze me. I'm an only child.
See you around the dog.
Oh.
You're like, I have a dog. Don't yell at me. No, because this is the second time you said I have a smaller community than other people. That doesn't matter. You have a community that you have cultivated, and people care about you and what you do, not just on stream, not just on Twitter. Your Discord is a very nice and loving place. And the size of the community, even if 10 people constantly show up to your stream, or one of us raid you, or you got 50 because you're playing Civ, whatever you're doing, your community's size is what is good for you in this moment. Because trust me, as someone who discovered this the real hard way, having a big community is not the boon people think it is.
Oh, yeah. I
Period.
would never try to argue that one with any
But
you.
don't discount yourself and the work you have done by commenting on my community's smaller. So you are here. We're on your channel, ma'am. You are the glue that kind of brought us together. So I'm putting you out there that you are important, and we would not be gathered here today if not for you and everybody saying, yes, this is important.
Mm-hmm. Period.
And I will add to the, I see Opera Geek slowly shrinking into the, no.
You're 6 feet tall. Get back up there.
Yeah, seriously.
That just makes this all the more impressive.
Right.
I can't do that.
From what we're saying, was it good? Finish it. If it was good, finish it.
I was just going to say that, Raphael just has to change out of his Dr. B outfit and I'll never know it's him.
Oh, it's so fun.
You do have stealth mode. You instantly have stealth mode, my friend. It was like,
recognizes me.
But what Tanya's saying, first off, gas up your friends.
Sit up.
Absolutely.
I will tell your mom. If she's in the chat, speak up.
It applies to streamers with audiences and communities of all sizes. There is the definition of larger and smaller, but having those concepts in your head actually does you a disservice. Everybody can do what we're talking about today. Everyone should do from the get-go. Everyone should do this. Everyone should start curating their community. Think about your boundaries. Think about your rules. Think about how you want your content, if you plan to do this, whether it's like a hobby part-time or whether you plan to chase it as a career. From day one, you really have to start thinking about these things because they will get away from you if you're not careful. So no matter the size of your audience, the size of your viewership, how many followers you have on Twitter, how many people are in your Discord, you need to think about these things from the beginning.
Anyway, so I had a thought and it just went poof. Oh no. Oh, and sometimes that can change as you're streaming. So like for me, all of my gigs went last March. Every gig I had booked through the end of 2021 was canceled.
Rip.
Yeah. And right now, it ain't looking good for 2022 either. This is a way that I have found that I could still feel like I was a performer, you know? And slowly it started to be more like a part-time job than just me playing Witcher 3 for like a few people and making them laugh as I yell at Doug. But it became a little bit of a different animal about halfway through. I do want to touch on something because if I don't say it, I'm going to forget to say it. And I think it's really important. It doesn't matter how much you admire somebody. Somebody can always be wrong. Somebody can always make mistakes. It does not matter who they are. I would never want somebody defending me if I did something awful just because they feel like, because they like what I produce, that I can do no wrong. Absolutely false. Hold the people that you admire to standards.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't misconstrue their comments and clips and make them out to be a quote unquote racist against white people. Sorry.
Oh no, you could bring that up.
Legit, speak on it.
No,
Speak
say
on
it.
it.
Speak on
Say it. Let me go
Say
get the
it.
church. Hold on. Let me get the fan. Let me get the fan.
Context
wait a
is
second. Yeah,
super
we're here.
key.
Let's go.
And yeah, no, I'm gonna let Omega talk about context, but I'm gonna say right now, any of you that take that stuff out of context without listening to the rest of it are just showing how ignorant your ass is.
No, honestly, I'm not gonna get into it because it's not really what this stream is about. This is about parasocial relationships, but it does. But I said that to say, make sure you understand what someone, as far as, you know, understanding and placing your boundaries. Don't be misled just because someone else said something, and do your own research and understand. And it goes back to, there are some people who just refuse to understand. There are some people who just see what they want to see and they don't want that to change. Even when all the facts are in front of you, they still don't want to change. Even when the definitions are right there, when the research is right there, when the articles are right there, when everything you need to know is right there, they refuse to change. Those people, they're lost cause. And I don't want to say it like that, but they truly are. They're not going to change. So that's one thing in itself. But with what Kelly was saying, yeah, you're 100% correct. You know, hold those people to those standards, especially if they are, you know, public figures, if you will, in the community. But even with that, that doesn't mean you get to get overly familiar with them to get them to understand that they are wrong. You know, there's still levels to everything. There's still boundaries. There's still precautions. I really want to get into this question, so I'm kind of going to steal it, Dr. B. I'm sorry.
Which one?
The moderation question.
Oh, there's several. Go for it.
I was going to say, we have a lot.
Several. But
Also, I think we're going to go like 15 minutes over, so don't worry about it.
But with that, there are ways and avenues to do things, and one of those, as far as being a streamer, is moderators. And someone, I'm using this question because it's one I saw recently, but everyone has asked a similar question, which is, who should your moderators be, and how do you curate them? Should you have more of a parasocial relationship to them? Well, here's the thing. A parasocial relationship is one-sided already. So you won't have a parasocial relationship with them. If they are somebody you trust, like Dad Smith, like other people who have those swords for Kelly, or the swords for me, or the sword for Taya, Briny, anyone, you're going to be able to establish a connection, a true connection with them. And when you know who that person is, and when you know that you and them share those ideals, those they share a level of respect for each other, and you know that they'll stand up for you and your chat, then yeah, that's someone with their consent and with their, if they want to, that's someone you can consider to be a moderator. Someone you know who will be unbiased, even against you, will be unbiased and make sure your stream is exactly what it needs to be. I'm gonna let somebody else talk now, but that's that.
Well, you're bringing up a really important point, and I would love to hear Dr. Rachel's thoughts on different types of relationships, because I mean, thus far we've been talking about friendship, parasocial relationship, and it sounds like there's a different kind of relationship with your mods.
Oh, definitely. Your mods have to be people that you trust, and that, like Omega was saying, you have to know them to trust them. So parasocial relationships are with, kind of like the blurry void of audience. Like I think when Kelly is singing into a room full of people, they're a faceless audience, basically, but not your mods. Your mods have a face, and your mods have a name, and you know where your mods are, and you know that your mods will stand up for you. And it's the backbone of any good stream. We were talking about this briefly on the break about how I just started streaming and how my only mods are literally people I've known for years, because you have to have that sense of trust with them. You have to know them.
So there is a question that's been has been asked several times in the chat so far, and people have just really loved this question. So I want to make sure we get to this one. We've talked in the past about lurking and reading the room, but for those who might have some sort of neurodevelopmental challenge, whether it's autism, any sort of executive functioning challenges, for whom they're well-intentioned, they're trying, they want to read the room, but they have difficulty doing so, what specific tips do you have for letting them know what's okay and what's not?
So I'm going to kind of speak out as, somebody, again, who is classified neurodivergent. It's very difficult sometimes to read a room, because I know, like for me, and you all just saw it about 10 minutes ago, I automatically go into self-deprecation mode. And where that becomes difficult is because if you've been bullied, if you've had trouble socially trying to fit in, if you didn't find your place in the world until much later in life, like I did, it can be hard sometimes to make that boundary, because part of you is always like, oh my gosh, I have to make everybody happy. I have to make sure that everybody is constantly happy. And at some point you have to remember to put yourself first. But the easiest way to read the room, if you're having trouble doing it, is to listen. Stop talking, listen, observe the people around you. I'm not saying observe and mimic. That's not at all what I'm telling you to do. I'm saying observe how other people are reacting to a situation. If need be, go research that situation. Observe how people are interacting with a streamer or with each other. And then you can kind of take your cues from that. And also, you can find somebody that you trust and say, hey, I was in this situation. Where did I go wrong? Or where did I go right? Because something you have to remember that I often don't is that you didn't always do something wrong. You just didn't. So find someone you trust, sit back, listen, and be willing to observe.
Anybody else got any tips for those who might be struggling social? Like, I mean, I'll throw myself under the bus. I'm very, like I said, I'm very public about my autism. Like, what would you say to me? I go into a chat for the first time. I have a hard time reading the room. What would you say to me? How do I do it?
Well, I guess it would depend on how you say you're not, how you interact with the chat first, because here's the thing, none of us are mind readers. Because, I mean, we've been friends for a long time, Dr. B. And one thing you've always said to me is like, you appreciate how clear I am with my boundaries.
God bless you. God bless you.
And for telling everybody else that it's okay to have them.
No, I gotta take a moment here for Tanya.
God.
You neurotypical people. You people have so much unspoken things. It's confusing. Tanya is clear, and I love her for it.
I love you too. And I don't say that casually. So I am not, if you ever catch me on stream going, I love everyone, you know that I'm a pod person.
Yeah, she's basically asking for help at that point.
Yes, that is the sign that she has been kidnapped. The stream is coming.
Yes, but also let me say what I'm going to say so I don't forget. Because I've been, like all of us, I've been drinking. So like if Raphael was in the chat and I didn't know who he was, and let's say we're talking about something, maybe me and Brian Omega are talking about like queerness or blackness or whatever, and you do the thing where you hop in and you start giving, well, in my opinion, yada yada, and we're like, whomst are you? That's not the best way to enter a chat. But if you then turn on and go, because at least I know I've seen it, Brian has seen it, where someone does that and then they turn and go, well, I'm autistic, you can't hold that against me. And it's like, but you're also speaking outside of your lane. So I guess it depends on kind of like how someone enters the chat. And this ties to another question we got of how to tell when someone actually wants to learn versus they are trying to be that person. And they're not the same thing. That was one of our
other questions too. How do you tell the difference between somebody who's being a troll and good-willed?
Well,
Brian, I know you wanted. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. It's just it's and Dosbif will laugh. I go, context is key. One, because chat scrolls. If you come in and talk about something we've said 10 minutes ago, streamer brain is kicked in. I ain't seen the chat in 10 minutes. And or if you come in with incomplete sentences or without the threading that was in chat before, if you're just, as far as we know, you're just blurting things in the wind, it makes a difference. And I go, okay, can you give me some context? What is it you don't understand? And depending on how that person responds is usually my key of, oh, you just want to argue versus I literally don't get it. Can you help me? And at a certain point, I can also go, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a clinician. Here's to take this link. And if there's something you're really not getting and it's like, I can only help you so much. But just try to be patient, be understanding, and don't talk down to people who are neurodivergent. Don't treat them like they're 5. Don't, just
get that enough.
Right. But it's like, be that person. But also, if you are neurodivergent, don't use that as an excuse to come in someone's chat and be a jackass. And I know Brian is like chomping at the bit to talk.
I'm gonna go after him because I have thoughts on all that.
There's feelings on this.
It's for me thinking. It's making me realize that because my first thing is read the rules, like the rules that you have to click OK to engage in chat, and then we use an article that Tanya wrote about etiquette. It simply helps. Those two things combined will kind of help you figure out what's okay and what's not okay in chat. And, I'm going to look at my rules now after this to make sure that they are as clear as they can be on what kind of behavior is and isn't allowed. Crap, I had something. And you're right, we've been drinking. But also getting back into, realizing that we're people and not things. We're also not here for you to, essentially, if somebody oversteps the line and we're trying to perhaps gently, or in some cases, if we've kind of had it, not so gently, get you back on course or show you the door, that's not the moment to start picking a fight because you think that there's just a person on the screen that is there for you to yell at. And I do know it's very difficult Because sometimes, like, you hop into a chat and you're like, everyone's talking about a thing. I must have missed a joke. Should I join in on the joke that I don't understand? Like, there's a lot going on, but I will say that, and Dasbeth said it in chat, when you hop into a chat, take a moment to just watch what's going on screen, watch what's going on in text, and from that, figure out, one, if that's a place that you actually want to be, even if you want, does not matter if you want to see that game so bad because you want to see that game. Figure out if that's a place you want to hang out. Because if you don't want to hang out there, you're not going to have a good time and no one's going to have a good time. And then after you've seen how things go, then if something is unclear, you can always talk to a mod. Most of my mods are happy to take those whispers, and they handle that, because a streamer can't always do that. They handle so much stuff behind the scenes. But yeah, I'm thinking, like, rules and etiquette are the main things that will help you. And yeah, reading the room in this case is almost literally reading the room and just giving it a moment before you speak up.
I have to type some stuff down.
Me too.
So it's because I have a very, very personal thing that happened, which is why I'm speaking on this. So first things first, I'm kind of going to be reiterating what everyone has said. And also, I am not a licensed mental health professional. I'm not trying to give you the tools and tricks or actual tangible things that you can look up that a professional has said. I'm just giving you something that's come from my own experience as a streamer. First things first, obviously you're going to respect everyone who comes in the room, whether you're neurodivergent, whether you're of a different race, whether you're marginalized, whatever the case may be. You're going to show them respect. End of. However, what I found happens a lot, especially when it comes to neurodivergent folk. I don't want to say that. What has happened a lot in my channel that I want to bring up is, don't use your neurodivergence as a bargaining chip or as an excuse, especially if you've been warned or educated. What has happened to me specifically is that I had some folks come into a chat, and not even just the chats I'm in. I've seen them in random chats, and instead of saying hi, instead of reading the room, as many people have said, they immediately go, I don't think people like me. And then you have to go, that's not the topic we're talking about right now. We're not talking about personal issues or people not understanding why I'm liked or not liked. So if that's not the general subject, then this is something personal. My stream, someone's community, isn't the place to air out personal problems or personal issues, whether you're neurodivergent or not. That's not the place for you to begin to unload your woes and your stresses, because then as a streamer, I'm like, are you doing that to get help? Which makes me go into, we're not your therapist, as someone else has also said. My stream is not your place, your personal playground, your personal bed, your personal couch to air out your grievances. My place is not that, but specifically, why did you decide to use my channel as that place? Did I allow you to get that comfortable, or are you overstepping a boundary? Are you getting too personal? Are you getting too close, that parasocial relationship that we've been talking about since the beginning of this? Have you gotten to a point where I need to go, hey, I apologize if this is how I've made you feel, but you need to understand that this isn't the place for that. I apologize if you're going through things, or I know that you are neurodivergent. I know that you have this. I'm gonna use an example, not to call them out, not to say their name, but this person was on the spectrum. This person was had autism, has autism. My apologies. And they said, "Oh, I apologize. It's blank," and that was that. But it continued, and then it continued, and then it continued. And so I'm saying this as a streamer, you still have the right, no matter the person, to make sure your community is curated and safe, not just for you, but for fellow viewers as well. So if that means you have to remove someone from that community to make that be so, then that's what it has to be. And what happened to me personally was, I did that exact thing. I said, hey, I apologize. I've tried, I've done the education, then I've done the warnings, If that's not enough, again, I'm not a therapist. I cannot give you the tools you need. Then I have to remove you from my community, give you, hey, take this. Here's a thing that might be able to help you with these, whatever you're going through. What's then not okay is to then go to many different other people, half the people I'm not even that close to, and ask them why I blocked you or banned you from my spaces or all these things. This specifically happened to me. And there's at least, I want to say one, maybe two people in this panel right now who was contacted on that very subject. So I'm using that as understand that it's hard. There is no right or wrong answer to this. Period. Whether you're a viewer or you're a streamer. But look at boundaries, look at clues, look at all the context, read the rules, read the room. You have to try, and it's going to be hard from one person to another, but you have to try, and it's up to the streamer to not be too harsh, but it's also up to the viewer to try to understand. And again, if it comes to a point where people can't understand or come to that middle ground, then my community isn't the place for you, because I don't have the tools that's going to help you through that. That's me setting that boundary, saying, hey, unfortunately, you want to get closer to me than I can allow you to, because if I let you further, I might be putting you in the wrong path that you don't need to be on. So that's that. I've been rambling, but yeah, that's that.
Well, and I know that Kelly wanted to follow up with some of that, something.
Yes, and this is a difficult topic, and it's going to address a couple difficult things. So small content warning for different types of ideations. It is never, ever okay to leverage your mental health or claim suicidal ideation to get attention from someone you have a imagined relationship with. Ever. Do not do that. It does not matter if you are neurodivergent, if you are neurotypical. That is a boundary. That is a very hard line. You do not put your personal well-being and safety on someone else. And you don't try to use guilt to get the attention of someone. It's wrong on so many levels. And it is traumatic to have that happen. Don't do it. Sorry, that's it.
Don't apologize. Wow, Brian and I in tandem. Don't apologize, because that is emotional abuse. That is emotional manipulation. People are calling it in the chat as well. Because if I go to someone and go, I feel suicidal, because I know friends that have had that done to them, where someone basically wanted their attention, they wanted all their friendship, and when they could not realistically give them that, they got it's going to be your fault when I'm gone. It's like, so I guess what am I supposed to do with that? And, the other part is going into someone's chat and basically just blurting out, I need help, I'm in crisis. Because we don't know who you are. And if we don't know you, that'd be different if I texted Brian and he was live or something and said, I need help. That's different because we are friends. But when you just roll into someone's chat and go, I need help, I don't know what to do, etc. Because wasn't there someone kind of doing that in your chat today, Brian? That was I need help. And they were going back and forth between, do you remember me? And I need help. And I'm sad. And
well, no, not today, but when they first came in, it was very much their opening statement was, I just broke up with my boyfriend. Are you gay? And I remember now that I had to remember, I actually felt that kind of way. I've worked crisis hotlines. I've done that. So I realized this is, even in that moment months ago, I realized this is so not my job or lane to do this. And for somebody to come in who'd never been a part of anything, never followed, never anything, I just was I kind of realized I was we can offer you resources if that's what you want, but we here can't do, you know, like we can't do anything. And that's why like, we have Take This in here. I have other hotlines. The mods were in a back channel. Like, what do we give this person? Because yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, and and also, and people don't like hearing this, it is okay to stop your stream if something has upset you, if it has bothered you, if someone has made you feel uncomfortable or unsafe, or if it's a situation where you really don't know what to do. It is okay to take a break, to stop your stream and go, you know what, this is out of my experience. I don't know what to do with it. Don't feel like someone has beaten you or made you or manipulated you, and they may have done that, but better safe than sorry. At least that's the way I look at it. Everyone else may not do that.
I know Dr. Rachel has something to add to all that.
I just want to say, if someone comes into your stream and needs resources or is in crisis, takethis.org is there full of resources. We create resources specifically for streamers to be able to say, here are some resources that can help you. But I also wanted to touch on a point that Critical Bard made. Even if you are a therapist or you have a mental health stream, you're a Take This ambassador, you are not the therapist of your viewers. The responsibility is not on you.
Well, and Brian brought this up. There's a question of role clarity here, which is when we give trainings on responding to crises in your community, because that is, that trust is a variant of that parasocial relationship, that idealization that somehow this person, this streamer, can help me. When the streamer is like, okay. I mean, Brian brought this up, that Brian has crisis line training, but even then, crisis line ain't his job right now.
No. But he knows the resources to send.
Thank you,
they
Brian.
can find the crisis line where it is their job to do that. Yeah.
It's actually funny because, and I realized I probably shouldn't have said this. I say things like this, but for the longest time with my friend group for years, I was like, yeah, I'm the Dr. Phil of the group. I'm the person people come to.
Actually, that
when
may
they
be more
need...
appropriate than you think. I'm not Dr. Phil.
Right? Yeah, a little bit. But no, yeah, I say I'm the person that people come to when they need guidance or help. But that is something I've established with that friend group. Just because I am a welcoming, big old teddy bear, I can't be a grizzly, don't get it twisted. It's because I'm a big teddy bear in my chat and I want to preserve the ideals of love and unity and respect. That doesn't mean I'm now going to give you one-on-one, consultations about what to do and all that, especially not for free. Not on the place where I am my brand as a whole, not where I am streaming and giving the viewers a view of me that is whatever the streamer wants it to be. That's not the time or the place for it. So just understand that. That's all.
Let's see here. Going into some of these, we still got so many. Just the chat's been amazing. Y'all have been just fantastic with all these questions. So many good ones to pick for. I think we got time for just one or two more. What are some lessons in managing these parasocial relationships that you wish you knew sooner?
Ooh, boy.
No is a complete sentence.
And that it is okay to kick people out if they don't know how to act. That was something I got told growing up, but I had to relearn that as someone who does this now as a job, that you can't let people manipulate you into, but if I don't have any other place online I'll learn, I'll do better. And then spoiler, they don't. You can only give so many people second chances. You can give people only so many second chances, usually one.
You don't owe it to anyone to be what they expect of you. Whoever you are and your content and your personality, your vibe, that's who you are. If you feel that people are expecting something different of you, that is a no-go.
It is okay for you to step away when you are overwhelmed. It is okay for you to not be the person that people come to for help, for whatever the case is. It's okay for you as a streamer to say, I'm going to turn off my stream because whether I'm not saying it correctly or it's not being typed out correctly, but this isn't the place for you to be that friendly. And now I'm overwhelmed. It's okay for you to say, nah, and back out. I wish I knew that sooner.
As someone who
okay.
absolutely hates being upset on stream, which has happened a few times, I wish that earlier I had the ability to just say, you know what, guys, I think it's time for the stream to end today. Instead of trying to push through and keep on the happy face to make everybody happy. Because, and I'm pretty sure only Dr. B is going to get this reference, sometimes that anvil gets really heavy.
You're not the only one that's read Pratchett.
I
Really?
know.
Seriously.
But he sent me an actual
I
pin that's an
haven't,
anvil.
so I like it.
He sent me an anvil pin for that
I
reason.
know.
Some days that anvil can get heavy. Some days that mask you have to put on to protect yourself from the world can get painful. And you just need to say, I need to step away for a little bit, you know, and you need to not feel guilty about that, which is something I'm still working on.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems like a really good spot to bring this back and ask y'all for final words, as well as what are your final thoughts? Where can we find you on the socials, on the Twitches, all of it?
I get to say who goes first because it's my stream, so it's Dr. B. Ha!
Excellent.
Oh, that's uncomfortable. The mod going first. Oh.
I'm gonna tell
Okay,
on
so-
you and say how you asked me to move you on the overlay.
So the one thing I want to add as a final word, for those of you who are worried about accessibility to the neurodivergent community within your streams, a pet peeve that I have as an autistic person is the chat rule, don't be a dick, because that is vague and it's up for a lot of debate. Instead, Brian brought this up earlier. If you can be as specific as possible about what your expectations are in terms of behavior, like supportive language, keeping it, the more specific you can be in terms of behavior, the easier it's going to be for folks like me who have a hard time reading the room to read the room a little bit better and to correct our behavior. Because most of the folks on the spectrum I know, we mean well. We're trying to communicate with the rest of the world the best we know how. But we just struggle. But anyway, for that, I can be found on Twitter at the Dr. B. You can see it right below. That's where I am. I stream on other people's channels occasionally, but yeah, that's where I am.
Next is Dr. Rachel.
You're muted.
Is muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, that's cool. I got kids. I got to mute it. Otherwise, you'll be hearing them all the time. Relationships with streamers are one way, right? We're here to talk parasocial relationships. These relationships are real relationships. There's real emotional value in these relationships, but they're not the same as two-way reciprocal relationships. Do we like seeing the same people in chat? Yes. Do we love it when you're there, when we overcome some kind of milestone, like technical difficulties? Yes. But you shouldn't expect any of them from them that you wouldn't expect, I'm going to do it again, from Henry Cavill, right? That's the same. It might seem more interactive, and it is more interactive because of just the nature of streaming, but that does not change the relationship, and boundaries are important.
I got distracted. Omega.
Oh, hello, hi. Season's greetings. It is I, Omega Jones, also known as the Critical Bard. Hey, every day is a part of a season, therefore, season's greetings. Final words from me. Honestly, again, as a streamer, it's okay to say no, and it's okay to just set those boundaries and adhere to those boundaries. I know that it's hard out here, especially in this place where one, people have instant access to you live, but two, certain companies aren't doing more to protect said streamers. So it's hard out here, but still, work with your core, work with your team, your mods, or whoever you trust, and make sure that you, to the best of your ability, can make your space as safe as possible. And that does include sometimes people who think they're too close to you. Even if they're regulars, they can get the boot too. It is what it is. So that's that. Again, hi, my name is Omega Jones, also known as the Critical Bard. A Critical Bard across all social media channels. You can see it below. I stream. I'm a partnered streamer here. I am a singer. I'm an equity actor. Got that card. Let's go. I will miss the stage. Hopefully, I'm in Sweeney Todd this summer still. But look at Dr. B's face.
That is one of my favorite musicals.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
St. Louis Muni in August, maybe, hopefully. I'm hashtag iconic because you already know that. Period. But no, I don't really have anything to boost. If you want to check me out later tonight, I'll be playing Among Us with Felicia Day and the Guild. So that'll be fun. But that's me. Goodbye.
It's Brian's turn.
Yeah, hi, I am Brian, Urban Bohemian, partner variety streamer, 3 days a week on Twitch. I do games and chatting and food streams from my kitchen where things actually go well, so that's nice. In a few weeks, I will be joining Rivals of Waterdeep for season 9, and I am super excited. I want a time machine to go back to the kids I played D&D with in high school and tell them, no, you're wrong. And yeah, I would honestly say I hope that everyone has taken away something today that will help them. There were so many good things said by the people in this call with me. I was going to say my friends because it is such an automatic thing to say when you're online. But I've never met Rachel, so it's like, and yeah, I would simply say if you have questions about stuff like this, you can ask other streamers, not while they're live. They have Discords. You can ask. A lot of us have channels specifically devoted to asking about streaming stuff. So I would say there are resources out there. There are resources out there. And yeah, if you're thinking about dipping your toes in the water, or you're just wondering if you maybe need some help, go ahead and ask. It's okay. If we have time, we'll answer. If we don't, we won't. And if we charge, we'll tell you our rates.
Also, someone convinced Brian to get brunch merch. That's all.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I want that brunch merch.
Mimosa jewelry.
Yes.
So next is Tanya, who I'm going to return the favor to that she did earlier. When I met Tanya, I was initially afraid to go talk to Tanya at the convention because I admired her so damn much. The work that Tanya does in this community is exhausting and necessary, but also she doesn't have to do it. She just does. So seriously, thank your local cipher. Promote and support your local cipher. Hey, Tanya, you want to say something? Haha! And you can't hide behind your microphone.
That's okay. I have your phone number. I can call you when we're done. I can call you, ma'am. My words of advice would be, one, understand that building community is not make a Discord, throw open the doors and let the dogs do whatever they want to do. Be aware of your limits. And this is because I'm always the contrary person on streams, and Raphael will laugh at this. It is perfectly okay to try this and decide this ain't for me. No one is required to stream. No one's required to do any of this stuff. Or understand that maybe you just want to get on stream, whatever you're going to stream, and go about your day. You don't have to do all the extra stuff that A lot of us do. You don't have to go for affiliate. You don't have to go for partner. Shockingly, you can stream for fun, but you should also still have boundaries in your chat. It is okay to just go, I'm here for fun. I'm not trying to like make money, do whatever, but I still am not going to let you act like you have no sense when I'm live. And lastly, just appreciate the fact that we're all doing this. Some of us do it for pay. Some of us do it for fun, for both, but that don't put us on pedestals, especially those of us that are affiliates or partners, or in your eyes, having made it. Because for every person you think that's made it, there's probably some introvert in the corner going, please don't perceive me. I just want to go stream like some Animal Crossing and hang out with my friends and maybe have some wine while I do it. We are not better than anyone else. Don't put us on pedestals, because the minute you do that, we're going to fall. And that is where the parasocial relationship will shatter. We are not idols. We're not special. Don't come in and yes, queen, yes, king us. We're just people. And with that cheerful note, you can find me online everywhere, Cypher of Tier. If I know you and we have met, we've hung out possibly, you may call me Tanya sometimes. And if I go, whomst are thou? That is your cue to not call me that. You can call me Cypher. But I'll be joining Brian in 2 weeks over on the Rivals Waterdeep channel for season 9. I am looking forward to it because I know what his character's like. I'm excited, and as well as our friend Eugenia Vargas. My channel, it's sporadic. It all depends on my schedule, what I'm doing, and basically everything else I'm doing is under NDA except for Thursday nights on Sirenscape with Kelly and Gabe.
Finally, not under NDA.
Yes, finally, Thursday. If you like Cyberpunk Red, buy Talsorian Games. We're setting off an 8-week adventure Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, over on Sirenscape's channel. Come hang out. It'll be fun. And and in case you're wondering, we still don't know about Motherlands. Please stop asking me. Trust me, when I know, y'all gonna know, because I won't be able to shut up about it. So as soon as we know, you will know. I'm crossing everything. There is a season 2. But until then, just go enjoy the VODs, support us, and toss a coin to your Twitcher.
Oh, Valley of Plenty.
See?
Yes. Anyway, so yes, hi, I am still Kelly. I am still the opera geek, much to the chagrin of many people. You can often find me here on my channel. I'm currently playing through Shadow of War, which is mostly me drinking and yelling at whichever voice actor happens to be portraying whatever character I'm murdering at the moment. Also, of course, Thursdays, I'm going to be Cyberpunk Red with Tanya and an amazing cast over on Sirenscape's channel. I am also the creator, or co-creator rather, of the College of the Opera, which you can actually now buy merch for because it's got a crest. Thank you, Dr. B.
It's so good.
Which is a bard subclass for D&D. I want to say thank you to everybody in chat. That's been fantastic. Thank you for all the follows. Thank you for the subs. I'm a bit overwhelmed. I don't do overwhelmed well. So just thank you for being here. And honestly, thank you to all of these amazing people that are on this Zoom call with me that I am fortunate to call my friends. Extremely fortunate. Oh, I'm sorry. You're not my friend?
No,
Brian?
I just noticed the overlay broke.
The overlay broke.
Hopefully, but it's okay. Hopefully, you
Overlay
can still hear
broke.
us.
It's okay. You can
It's
still hear
okay.
us.
It's
You
good.
can still
The
hear
curtain
us.
went
It's
down.
fine. It's
Yeah,
The
fine.
curtain has
Curtain
stopped,
call.
but the soprano
Yes.
has not stopped singing. So
Too
you will
many
continue
crowns came out,
listening.
honestly.
Yes.
Oh,
Did you change crowns again?
I did.
Yeah, I left my other 2 in the other room, and I'm feeling a way about it because I should have had multiples on by now. But thank you, everybody. Please go support all of these amazing people that have taken the time to be on this channel today. And yeah, we're gonna go raid Painting Pirate. Painting Pirate is doing part of a 3-day charity stream raising money for Black Girls Code, which is a very important charity. Please stay for the raid. Let him know who sent you because it's going to be funny as heck watching his face when y'all drop in. So with that, bye everybody. Thanks
Bye,
so
everyone.
much.
Bye.
bye.